Hi everyone! I got through 5 books in October, so I'm going to discuss those with you today and do like a little mini review of them. So without further ado, let's get started. The first book I'll talk about is The Three by Sarah Lotz. I know I mentioned this in a little book haul a while back when I first bought it, and I finally got around to reading it this month. This is a really different style genre to the books that I normally read. It's basically 4 planes go down in 4 different corners of the world, and there's 3 survivors, hence the name The Three. But in one of the crashes in Japan, there was also an American woman on the plane, and she did survive initially for the first couple of minutes of the crash. And she managed to record a message for her husband. She warned them that there was something different about the boy who'd survived in the Japanese crash. This sparks a whole host of events, this one phone call. The way that this is written is really different to the normal sort of genre that I read. It's written as in chat transcripts. It has interviews with different people in the story from different corners of the world. It also has sort of transcribed Skype conversations done in documentary style. It's just such an interesting book, and it's really, really hard to put down once you get into it. I've also been online on Amazon and ordered the follow-up to this, which is called Day 4. That's just how good it was, so that is definitely one to give a go. The next book that I read is a bit different again. It's more of a medical book. It's about hyperemesis, which is extreme sickness in pregnancy. It's a guide for people who've either suffered from it or friends and relatives of someone who has suffered from it. And if you don't know what it is, it's basically you get pregnant, and instead of just getting your usual morning sickness, you end up really seriously ill where you can't keep down any fluids, anything like that. There's something, no one knows what causes it or how, there is no cure for it. So it used to be one of the biggest killers of women in pregnancy. So if you know anybody who's suffered from this is quite a good book to read, because it really gets you into the mindset, and it authors of it have suffered it themselves. So it goes through different treatment options and how you can actually help a sufferer yourself if they want help from you, and how to understand what they're going through a bit, because people generally think of pregnancy and sickness go hand in hand, which usually you do get a little bit of morning sickness with a pregnancy, but this talks about when it goes above and beyond that, to people throwing up sort of 20-30 times a day, and there's literally nothing that they can do, and it's quite a grim pregnancy really for these people. So if you know someone who's suffered from this, or you've suffered from it yourself and you plan on having a further pregnancy, or even if you're suffering now, this is a really good one to read. It really gets you into the mindset, and it gives you loads of outside information, areas that you can get help. It talks about different treatment methods and stuff, and it's all UK based. A lot of this stuff based on this condition is American and Canadian, because they've done more studies on it there, but this is all UK based, and it's a recent book as well. I'm sure it came out in 2013, and it's one of the first of this sort of kind in the UK. So if that's an interest to you, give that one a go, because it was really good. Next up, I've gone with The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. I love the film of this, so I bought the book because so I thought I'd give it a go and see how it compared to the film. With the book, it picks up where the end of the film is. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away, because if you don't know anything about The Notebook or anything like that, it'll spoil it if I start going into it. It's really good, but I think it's one of the only books that I've read where I actually preferred the film. It's still a tearjerker, it really does get to you, but for me, I definitely prefer the film over the book, which is rare. Next up, I read Paranormal Intruder, the true story of a family in fear by Caroline Mitchell. And it's the documentation of a poltergeist haunting in the UK, in the south of the UK. This was a really creepy read, it really, really was. There was a lot of talk into this entity that had taken over someone's house, and how they dealt with it and things, and so there was actually a lot of witnesses to this as well. There was police witnessed it, I think there was the fire department witnessed it, priests, mediums, people like that. They all witnessed some sort of behaviour going on in the house that wasn't entirely normal. This documents it and goes into detail about what they did and what avenues they went down to try and stop it from happening in their house. And it goes into documenting all of the different things that the poltergeist got up to in their house. So like I said, this is a really creepy read, and it's not particularly very good if you're going to be in the house alone afterwards, so make sure you've got someone around if you're one of those people that get scared by the power of suggestion, because as soon as I read something like this, I'm convinced there's a poltergeist in my house. So for about 2 days afterwards, I was convinced I was being haunted, but apart from that, really good read. The final read this month was Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn is the woman who wrote Gone Girl, and because I love that book so much, I couldn't wait to read something else that she'd written. So I tried this one, which was her first novel, and I did enjoy it, but had it been my first Gillian Flynn novel, I perhaps wouldn't have picked up another, because it wasn't as blow away as Gone Girl was. But I did enjoy it. The general storyline is Camille Preaker lives in Chicago, and she's a journalist, and she hasn't returned back to her hometown of Wind Gap in about 10 years. But there's suddenly what looks like a serial killer targeting young girls in Wind Gap, and her editor gives her the job of going to Wind Gap to try and get a scoop, basically. But she doesn't want to go because she doesn't have a very good relationship with her family back there, and she's got a sister that she doesn't really know that lives there, and her sister seems really bratty and seems to sort of rule the town and is going around bullying everyone. And her mum's very, very strange, bit of a hypochondriac, a little off. It's an intriguing story. You do want to know more, but I found that I guessed what was going to happen pretty early on in the book, and I massively prefer it when I don't know what's going to happen, and it's sort of a bit more exciting that way because it keeps you guessing. Whereas this, I sort of knew what was going to happen, but then there was a twist, so it was good and the twist was interesting, but at the same time I didn't find this quite as good as Gone Girl. So if you're interested in giving more Gillian Flynn books a go, give this one a go, but don't expect Gone Girl again. Okay, so that's everything I read in October. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye!